Yeah. Yeah. I think what stopped me from doing that in the past was I was so focused on being that car salesman, on selling the car. And we all know that I forget I just heard this statistic. I think it's people that buy from you are 7 times more likely to buy from you again.
Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.
All right, welcome back to STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest, Jay Malone. Oh, I love my guests. We have such a good time on these shows. I am just so blessed to have such great people come on here, and Jay's no exception. So, as we always do, no one knows Jay better than Jay. So, Jay, give us a little backstory, bring us up to speed, and we'll get into it from there.
All right. Yeah. I guess the days of my mom knowing me best are behind me at this point. Thanks for having me. I'm Jay Malone. I run a business now. My second business. We'll get into the backstory. It's called Profit Ladder. So I work with coaches and consultants. I help them turn their sort of high touch premium services into more do-it-yourself and scalable offers. And the reason you do that is to attract ideal clients and earn a little bit more predictable income.
Awesome. Yeah, it's the coaching arena is a challenging one for most coaches online. I know I'm one, but a lot of them really struggle. You know what I mean? They get out there, they do great things. They're good coaches. It's just that reach, right? It's like how you do it. How do you leverage what you do as an individual, right? Isn't that kind of what you're showing them?
Yeah. I think a lot of us build a business and I'll speak for myself. I launched my first business in 2010 and I thought it was just going to be open the doors and I do great work and clients are going to come flooding in. So I learned that being a great operator does not make you a great business owner, which requires a whole different set of skills.
Correct. That is so true. I did the same thing. You think you work hard, you can do what you do really well, but it's all about how do people know that? How do you get in front of the right people, right? And then when you get going, how do you continue that wheel, if you will? How do you keep those customers coming in? How do you, and again, then it becomes a scaling issue from there, right? Like, how do I do more with a limited amount of time?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And you're constantly bumping into a ceiling that you have and you're wondering, should I work longer days? Should I hire? And then the burnout starts to creep in because you're doing all the things all the time.
Yeah. I think that whole hustle and grind culture thing for me, it's kind of a lie. You know what I mean? You can work as hard as you want, but there's still only so many hours in the day. And that's not really working smart. You know, it's really, what are you going to do with this time? You know, if I only gave you 8 hours a day and that's the only time you had to work and make as much as possible, would you just work harder? It
Yeah.
won't work, right?
Yeah. And it's hard not to, especially, I mean, in this new era that we're in too. I mean, I've been home with my business for 15 years now. So that I've gotten much better at separating work and personal. But a lot of people that are kind of like getting into building a business that aren't driving off to an office like 5, 10, 20 years ago. Yeah, those lines are super blurry. So you find yourself opening up your phone while sitting on the couch watching something with the family and you're scrolling LinkedIn, you're checking email, like, yeah, all the bad habits.
Yeah, it's work from home is really difficult. You know what I've noticed too, Jay, now I've been reading a few articles. They're starting to rein everyone back in. Okay, well, post-COVID, so like it's time to come back to the office and I wondered this in the beginning, like I'd love to see the real data. Are they really more productive? They're at home. Are they getting more done? Because it can go like two ways. One, they're not. Bring them back. Another one is like, well, yeah, but they're actually getting everything done in like 2 days. Maybe we don't need them for 5 days a week. So that can be bad. Like maybe we'll just get rid of half of them because the other half can do all the work and bring them back up to 5 days, stuff like that. So it's interesting to see everyone pulling them back, reining in some perks and stuff like that. Because that home, I do it. I have 6 kids, raise them, right, trying to work from home, and I could get some work done, but without like real boundaries in that house, it's always a distraction. And it's not others I'm blaming. I'm saying that there's just too many other things to do, so you need to, for me, I'm a focus do one thing at a time guy. I am not
Yes.
a multitasker, never been one. And a lot of the studies I love prove it's not effective. So I like to stay focused.
Yeah. No, I do find myself chasing a lot of shiny balls, and it's really hard to, like most of the difficult problems that we solve in our work, it's rarely the first solution that we came up with. So seeing it through, I have a background in product strategy, and what I learned there is that iterative mindset of kind of like experimenting your way to the thing that everybody actually really wants and solves the right problem the right way. And I'm guilty as much as the next entrepreneur and coach consultant of having an idea, seeing it through for a minimal amount of time, and then like, it didn't really work. But people write books and they're like, it didn't really sell. So I'm gonna start an agency, or I'm gonna build this other thing. Like, man, you put so many hours into that, and like, if you just pushed and showed it to people and asked for feedback, you'd probably have a gold mine on your hand in terms of insights and like attracting new clients. So I'm guilty of like giving up on my ideas too quickly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. We see it often. They just don't have that perseverance to go through because I think you said it right. It's iterations. I'm not what I was when I started my first coaching business. I had that. Then I did my book. I got a best-selling book. And I said, oh, I'll build an academy around my book. The book is great. So it says some great stuff, but I can't stop there. You don't make money on book sales unless you're a New York Times bestseller, James Patterson or something. I don't know. But it's like your average book is for authority and it's to show people you can do it. You've got this, but give them a place to go. And then you can start to capitalize on that book and start to earn money. That's what I did. Then I evolved that into a couple more different iterations of coaching to where I am today. So I think that's a really good insight that you gave because people have to understand that we always think we got it right the first time. And I am a master of getting it right the second or third time.
Mm,
Okay. I
yeah.
seldom ever get it right the first time. Matter of fact, I think I've never gotten it right the first time. It's a good starting place, but it's never done. It's like I got to do that and I stayed in that lane, meaning that, the business didn't evolve, right? And have to find new ways to do things. So I think if you can go into it with the right mindset, like you're talking about, it'd be a big advantage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like any problem that's really actually worth solving, if you do get it right on the first try, it probably means that many other people don't really need your help figuring that out for themselves. It's been done, it's scripted, it's a simple problem to navigate. But in that realm of complicated and complex, yeah, that's where the second iteration, the 20th, the 200th, that's where you got to play. And there's risk. You start asking yourself, did I pick the wrong thing? Uh, should I give up? Am I going to get the ROI? Am I going to like get back what I put into this? And then you kind of spiral. I mean, again, speak for myself. You spiral, you start to take shortcuts. You think like, I've got to get my money back out of this. So you start doing things that, like people see through the smoke there and they realize that you're kind of in it for the short game. So that's why, in my past work, I'd always tell people like spend a little bit more time up front to really understand the problem that you're solving and decide if it's one that you want to be committed to. Because most of the stuff that we're doing here, it's years that you build up
Yeah.
your expertise and mastery on it. So you got to be in it for a while, and I'm into my second business. My first one was 12 or 13 years, and that whole time, like it felt like a business, but there was no mission. And I know that now because in this business, I have a mission, and it's very clear to me, and that feels really good. It feels like I can play that infinite game here for quite a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think mission, vision, I think that's a critical thing. I teach a lot of my clients, same thing. You really have to build out a vision for what you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to affect. So I'm about, I'm helping 10,000 business owners create profit, freedom, and impact in their business. That's a mission. There's a number I have something I'm going after. I know who I'm helping. I know my ideal client profile, right? I know where I'm going with this. I know what I want to do in the next 2 years and 3 years. And then at that point I reassess and keep going, right? That's part of the iterations. But I've got that all laid out really, really well. Like you say, so I have a very concrete path with flexibility built in. So when someone wants to come on my team, they can read that and go, oh, I fit in right here. Come on, let's go. Now they know, right? They know the vision and the mission. That's really important. So, and I think if you don't do that kind of work, like you're saying early on, if you don't, and this, my thing's like a 12-page document on my company vision, where everyone is. And if you don't spend that little bit of time, and it can take some people weeks, took me 14 hours to write mine, and I know what I'm doing, but you take that time and then now you have something that everyone can follow. Well, it might be just you, but now you have something to follow. You can keep checking back in that to make sure you're staying on the path. Because I think, like you said, the shiny object syndrome, people, oh, I can go do affiliate marketing. That'll make me some money really fast. Oh, I can go do this. And you start bouncing around left and right and you just keep going off course. And the main thing never moves along. Then pretty soon nothing's working. And
Yeah.
then you drop the whole idea of online or whatever it might be, right?
It feels really to be working on something for a couple hours, let alone a couple weeks or months, to have that light bulb moment where you're like, why am I doing this? What was the reason I got into this whole mess to begin with? And now you're emotionally attached to your idea. You've got technical debt, you've got financial debt, emotional debt, and it's really hard to back away from those ideas. So a little bit of upfront digging into why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, for me, like that's why 14 years into the first business, 13, 14 years, solving for somebody that I knew because I had worked with them, but it's different. In this new business, I'm solving for a version of myself and still am. So I always heard of people building scratch your own itch kind of businesses, and I danced around it. I thought I was in it in my first business, but now I am. There's an evil twin to this where you put your blinders on then and you only solve for based on your experience and you don't talk to anyone. That's probably a bad idea. But there's something really rewarding to know that you were in a low place with something, you got yourself out of it, and then you help the next person, the next person, the next person, and then you build that into, that's your momentum. You build that into your flywheel that you start to solve for. And then you can solve for one persona and maybe you can help a second. Think where a lot of people get distracted is outside of the niche. I think like I have been in a place where I create an offer that I know works well. And then I create this other thing because one of my clients said, I also get stuck here. So like in my last company, we used to build websites and mobile applications and things like that. And then one of my clients needed help with their pitch deck. So we designed their pitch deck for them so that they could get money so that they could afford to pay us to build their mobile apps. Then I started a whole pitch deck design business. I hired 2 or 3 people and there was very little connection to the work that we were doing. And so I just had this smattering of offerings and no, it didn't really ladder up to a person and a specific problem. Now I think about it very differently. You can create multiple offers, but instead, what I like to do is like think about the same customer all along that entire journey that they get through. From the point where they're ready to hire you and they're like willing to depart with their money and they're sold, they want you're the guy or the gal, to maybe very early on where they're like, show me what this would look like. Let me try it for myself. Let me read about it. Let me educate and persuade myself. And you meet them all the way up that ladder until they're ready to hire you. But focus is key.
Yeah, it's, the whole wide net approach doesn't really work. I mean, maybe it works for Walmart, you know what I mean? But it doesn't work for me. I don't even like to go in that store. But I like that when you understand who you're serving. And like you said, you build this ladder, they call it the value ladder, you call it the profit ladder, whatever that case is, how can I take one customer, and I call it LPV, lifetime profitable value. What's that customer worth over the time? 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever that is. What can I deliver for them? What can they give me for what I'm going to deliver for them over that time? If it's a $5,000 product and then I'm done, well, I'm done. They have 5,000. They don't get anything else. They have to go somewhere else now. Well, we want them to stay with us. I'd like them to be worth $55,000 or $155,000 over time. I always use the car dealer example in my family. I have 6 kids, my wife and I. My wife and I get new cars every 3 years, right? So we're buying those, and everything now is like 50 grand and up, right? So there's 100,000 every 3 years. I have 6 kids now who all drive. So we have 8 people for that car dealer, right? Like to buy. We are a 7-figure plus family for them over a 20-year period of time.
Yeah.
No car dealer treats anyone like that. They could care less. They don't build out this ladder, right? How do you take care of those people? I go anywhere and buy a car, but why don't they build it so that, like, I'm worth 7 figures plus to you, me and my family? If I tell my kids to go buy a car somewhere, guess what they're going to do? Buy that car there. You know what I mean? Because you take care of us. So our business is the same. I always like when people ask me, well, what's next? If I do this, then what? That's the question I like. Yeah, there's lots more. We go to year 2 and year 3, and I'll take you here. We'll do this and we'll do this, right? That ladder you're talking about, I love it. And people, when they see that, it gives them hope. Because most people aren't looking for a quick fix. They may feel like they are, but they're really looking for some long-term sustainability in their business for coaching them and stuff, right? And if you've built that road for that particular individual, I think you're going to have massive success because you're so focused on one, they're willingly giving you, right? You're coaching them and they're paying for it. They're getting the results and they keep moving up that ladder. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what stopped me from doing that in the past was I was so focused on being that car salesman, on selling the car. And we all know that, like, I just heard this statistic. I think it's people that buy from you are 7 times more likely to buy from you again. I think that's true. And she just couldn't see it. I was like, well, I did this thing. I have this offer. I'm not going to go and create a whole nother thing to help them out because that feels like I'm keeping them, holding them hostage. And what I wasn't doing was paying close enough attention in that work. Where did they get stuck? What was like a very tangential pain point that they had during that thing that I could solve for. And then that could connect back to this project and this sort of like offer that I do. It's just being a better listener with a lot of the clients that I was already working with. And in that sense, you not only get like strong word of mouth and referrals, which I think a lot of business owners, a lot of coaches stop at when I ask them, where do you get your business? 99% word of mouth. And there's a lot of pride that comes with that, which is great, but it's very linear in terms of being able to scale yourself. Because now you got to keep going back to the person that you worked with over and over again. Can I get a referral? Can I get, and there's nothing working sort of, I know when I use the expression on autopilot, it probably feels slimy or spammy or something like that, but I only have so many hours in a day to go back to each client and ask for a referral, while I'm trying to like be in the work with my clients and go deeper with them and solve bigger problems. I'm running out of time during the day. So that's kind of like the genesis of what I thought about with Profit Ladder, which was just to like figure out a way to go above and beyond referral and find a way that you can just naturally create that curiosity and awareness of the things that you're helping your clients out with.
Yeah, that's really good because it takes that thought because you're not truly serving them. If you're going to stop at one thing and always chasing the next new thing, okay, if you're always chasing the next new customer, okay, you're right with the 7 times, right? If someone buys from you once, as long as you didn't drop the ball, they'll buy from you again. You don't even need the 7 times. It's like, that's just nature. That's how we work. Boy, I gave you $500 and you gave me this unbelievable program. What else you got? Right? I go to the store and I buy this coat and that. Well, what else you got? Well, I got these socks over here. I got this belt over. Okay, yeah, nice. Right? You know, come back and do it again. So it's an important thing to understand. But like you said, listening is key, right? I always tell people listening is a silent form of flattery.
Mm,
The more you listen, they'll tell you everything they want. As you listen, you're just going, and you can put a dollar sign by each thing. I'm just being real. Everything that you want, you write down what it is and you put a dollar sign by it. And you write down and put a dollar sign by it because they're telling you their problem that they need solved. No one has just one problem, especially if they're in business. There's constant things that are coming up. Nobody knows everything. I've been in business 35 years. I know a lot. I don't know everything.
mm,
But if someone gives me a problem I haven't run into before, I love that because now I get to learn more. And
yeah.
I will fix it. I'll figure it out for them because I got the bandwidth for that, right? They're running the business. I got the bandwidth to help them out, get it fixed and keep them going, right? And again, it's more income for me, but I'm also moving my client forward. That's what I think it is really trying to create that relationship with clients. My clients stay for years. We've done stuff for years. It's amazing to watch. You know,
Mm.
in the beginning, you wouldn't think, are we even going to get past 12 months? And we're in year 4. Now they've bought multiple businesses and so you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, you went from about ready to quit to owning multiples, killing it with all the time you need.
Yeah.
So it's that long-term thinking, you know, really look at it as a chessboard, right? And guys in our position, I think it's important we understand we got to be looking way ahead on the moves, right?
Who was the guy that wrote that pretty long article called "A Thousand True Fans"? He like everything that you're talking about today, especially now. I mean, finding an experience and offer, whether you're going into a restaurant, buying a car, working with a coach, people that go above and beyond to serve at this point, it's like a needle in a haystack to find someone that actually pays attention to you, shows you that they're invested in your success. I mean, in that sense, especially with AI, it's easier than ever to just be a great service provider, like someone who really delivers a great experience. But this thousand true fans, there's actually a woman, one of my first clients in my new business. She bought from me because she bought a toolkit from my last business 5 years ago, and she never forgot. She didn't even work with me live. It's just I poured everything into that toolkit and I helped her. And she had a job. She left that job. She started her own coaching business, and she remembered that experience I packaged into that thing. And when she saw this new thing I was working on, she's like, I got to know more. I want to hear about it. I have a feeling you can help me. That is super hard to replicate. And it was completely off my radar that where she had kind of drifted into. All my analytics and my metrics didn't compute. And then I was like, oh my God, Jen, you're from like my past life, my past business. That if you can bottle that and do that as a business owner, figure out how to do that. Not to toot my own horn because it completely caught me off guard. That I think is you're really rocking if you can figure that out.
Yeah, I'm big on experience. So I work with a lot of construction and trades guys. And I tell them all the time, I say, listen, you're a kitchen remodeler. I can give you 5 pictures of kitchens that have been remodeled, right? And they're all beautiful. They all look amazing. I said, okay, good. 5 different contractors. Let's go talk to the homeowner. Talk to the person. Well, I love your kitchen. It's beautiful. Yeah, well, tell me about it. Well, I'll tell you, I never do it again. That's usually the first thing they say because the experience was so horrible. Everything torn up, guys loud, music not on time, no communication. There's a whole list of stuff, right? But then you get to that one where they'll say, it was probably the greatest experience I've ever had. And I've done a lot of remodeling. This is the homeowner saying this stuff. From the first call all the way through the last final punch. I mean, it's just amazing. They even brought in a chef and made the first meal for me and my friends in our new kitchen with waiters and everything. They just knocked out. It's unbelievable. Okay, do that and tell me they don't refer you, never forget you, have you build an entire house for them, right? It's that kind of thing. If you go to a world-class experience, and you can do it digitally or however you want to do it. That's what matters, right? Now, since I've been around a while, I remember back in the 80s, it was service at any price, didn't matter. All people wanted was the most incredible service. They'd pay anything. Everyone was outdoing each other in service. Then the 90s went to rock bottom prices. That's where you see all the box stores and all this other stuff. And it's all about the Walmarts and all bottom dollar. No one cared about service anymore. Now you were a little tiny thing. There's still a market for it, but the bulk of the market was not searching for that experience. So this goes back to our thing about the niche, right? Understanding the client. The clients didn't go away. There's just less of them, right? Because a lot of them started looking for that money because no one was driving the value of their products anymore. They were competing on price, right? Which is, that's all a race to the bottom. So, to your point, bringing value to what you do, that high level of value, that high level of service, and it doesn't matter if it's a digital product or if it's, I'm building someone's kitchen. It doesn't matter. Okay. They need to be treated equally because they all have an experience. I have a supplement company I buy from because they give me the greatest experience ever. And their product is awesome, but they have it all tied together. It's not a great product with no goods. It's everything. It's the whole package. I mean, their product's great, but it's the service and they weren't doing what they do from a customer service standpoint. Promotion, like, I could take it or leave it. But since they're so dialed in, I am one of those raving fans. I love it. So it's it's a real important point.
Yeah. Actually, you reminded me, I hired Ned Stevens when I first bought this house, because I need my gutters cleaned and I'm afraid of heights. So somebody's got to do it besides me. And the guys came, they left the wet bags of leaves on the driveway or on the edge of the driveway. And then I got more or less harassed for the next 3 weeks with upgrading into their quarterly, leaf cleaning package. It's like the first experience sucked. And
Right.
Now you're harassing me. Like, why would I go into that? So I don't know, service and experience. Yeah. And so that's where I've also made another mistake. So the way that I kind of think about business building, what you and I have been talking about is I actually start with my highest end offer that I currently offer. And I work my way backward because what happens is that thing that I sell, whether it's a $5,000 thing or a $50,000 thing, there's a lot of education and convincing and persuading that if someone has to go through. I don't want to be the person doing that. And I recommend that you don't spend your time persuading. If you are, you haven't taken them up that ladder, or you're trying to solve for the wrong person. You have the wrong person in your funnel. So I start with that highest end offer, and then I step my way back so that I'm making it simpler and more sort of like do it yourself, self-paced, inform yourself of how my process works. And each step down, what I don't do and what I've done as a mistake in the past is I would start to take value out of that. And I say well, if this thing is $5,000 and I'm giving them a course to do it themselves or a set of templates, or I packaged up all of these worksheets and content and, have at it, do it yourself. I would pull a chapter out or a tool out or a resource out. And the person that's using that thing, that is their sole experience. And that's what I'm being judged upon. So no, of course they're not going to upgrade or they're not going to continue. And they're certainly not going to tell their friends about their experience. So now when I think about it, I try to think about it in isolation. If I were using this, to quote Mr. Hormozy, what would make this offer feel so good and so valuable that someone would feel stupid saying no to it? And to the point where I want it to be so good that I don't want to have to convince them to upgrade. And I'm not going to have any sort of tricky clicks to upgrade or any of that. I want it to be so good that you decide for yourself. And I can't tell you how many times in my first business that those free offers and lead magnets and tripwires and all the other stupid ideas that I had it was worse that I had created them than if I didn't do anything whatsoever. It was just bad press and it was not good.
Yeah, that is great insight because you have to everything has to drive value. Because if everything I give you is incredible, why wouldn't you get the next thing? But if all of a sudden the second thing or the third thing is lacking, it's like you ran out of gas and you left me on the third stair. I can't go down, I can't go up, so all I can do is get off. So it's like, and this was a really good point, Jay, because if you don't, you just package them individually. But know that I love that you reverse engineer it, because that's really, really smart. Stop it. Like, I want to do a retreat with this and this and this and this and all this. Like, yeah, they're going to drop 75,000 with me on this, and then work your way backwards, knowing that that's the end goal. But so there's 70. I'm just throwing numbers out. There's 75,000 on the top, but there's another 45 on the way up. Okay. So like, if every step you're like, hey, and this is going to take 2 years before you're at the 75, that's okay. Right? I'm bringing this stuff in, but I'm building total value. So eventually, as you build that list, you're getting these customers. When you speak, they listen, right? Because you're a value driver. Everything that you give is gold, right? I do that at seminars. I go and people go like, hey, that was a lot. He gives us a lot. I go, yeah. And people also, this is just a mindset thing, but no matter how much good stuff you give them, they always think you have more, like you're holding stuff back. So they're always going to go to the next thing because he's got to have more. He's not giving me his best stuff right now. And you're like, hey, you just keep giving them great stuff, right? So it works for you. And it's not a trick. It's just that's how people think. Like if I buy a Ferrari, well, they've got a better Ferrari. There's another one I can go, and then I might have to go to the manufacturer and get one off the track because they're doing, you know what I'm saying? There's always something else. So you're able to keep them engaged in what you do, what you offer, and the process of it all. And people really like that because there's actually predictability, right? There's predictability in the value you're going to get. So it's worth getting. It's always been this way. So I can be assured whatever I spend, I'm going to get my value for it.
Yeah. Right. I think the experiences I love and the people that I almost always wind up hiring are when I get a thing from them. And the question that goes through my head is, how on earth did they make this free or only $100 or whatever? When I have that thought, exactly as you said, Rich, I'm always like, they've got to have more. And so here's where you can get yourself into trouble, where you tell yourself, if I put everything into this thing, I'm going to lose my whole market. This thing is going to cannibalize all the other stuff that I do. It couldn't be further from the truth, because like if you work with a roofer or somebody like that, you're a coach, you spend 30 years being a coach and working with people and being able to, you worked with 10 other roofers before that and you knew all their problems and you bring those insights into that call. The idea that you would create some kind of course that would help a roofing contractor in the Midwest grow their business, their local business, and that you'd hold something back from them, that's thinking that the roofer wants to take your job. And that roofer is building, they're doing their own thing. They're not going to come steal your lunch. So the more you put into it, like I would create these toolkits and put all my frameworks, 10 years worth of stuff into it. And I'd have others that were trying to build a similar consulting business to me. Aren't you afraid that you're going to get rid of all of these sort of like high-end services that you sell? I'm like, no, because there's going to be a project and they're going to use that toolkit and they're going to be at a fork in the road. I can either do this project myself and my job, my credibility is on the line, or I can just hire Jay because clearly he knows more about this specific thing that he does. I have all these other jobs. Jay has just been focused here and he's packed all this stuff into it. I'm just going to hire Jay. There's always going to be someone that sees what you're doing, values the experience, wherever you help them, health, wealth, wellness, however you help them level up, they're going to remember you and they're going to hire you for the thing. They're not going to hire you if they felt like you held back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, that's not, again, you're not serving. You're not serving properly when you do that. Give it to them. I'm telling you, it works. And just like you're saying, Jay, it works every time. It's like when you're watching that webinar and here's the offer, and then they're stacking and Then come the bonuses. I bought stuff just for the bonuses, because a lot of guys will repackage like, well, I already have a lot of that stuff, but these bonuses, I'll pay $900 for that. I'll pay $700. It's like, I want the bonuses, so it always works. There's always more. When people see it, then they'll attach their value where they need it, right? They get it. You have to understand that. Like you said, you're never going to run out of ideas. I had a mentor, and you'd always say, listen, I can create faster than they can copy. I'm not worried about people copying me because I'm creating all the time, so they'll find they're 2 steps behind me forever. Okay. I'm up front. I'm the leader. I'm getting this stuff done. That's a great mindset too, because it keeps you sharp. Well, what am I going to do next? What else can I bring them? I'm not learning this. Let's bring this into it. Let's create this. It's always that I'm serving my clients. I want to serve them for a long period of time. Do you think someone wants to go to a really good restaurant just once? That was fun. I'll never go back there. It was the best meal I ever had, but I'm never going to go back. We had a French restaurant. My wife and I went to every anniversary. Every anniversary we went there, I knew the chef. We go there other times too, but the anniversary, there's 5 courses, the wine flight, they're writing on her plates. You know what I mean? They're doing the pastry chef, his wife coming out. We're royalty, right? 4 hours for dinner. That amazing, right? That's service. That's people who we'll come back. They go there for lunch, just have an incredible lunch. So because they understand, the whole combination between food and people and environment and everything else, so you just continually serve, right? They come up with something new. So it crosses over to any business. It's not just a digital thing. It's not just a brick and mortar. It's not any of that. Not just a service. It's all of this. If you can keep this mindset and build this, because it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but when you get into the digital world and you're really working on that, it seems like this all makes sense in the digital world. But I think a lot of people have a hard time crossing over into the physical world, right? The service, trades, the whatever it is, whether you're a car dealer or a construction guy, they have a hard time taking the concept and applying it to their business. Do you find that?
Maybe I've been living in the digital world so much that I think I pay more attention to physical world, like the guy that came and did my roof of my outdoor shed. He was meticulous, communicated like nobody I've ever worked with before. He brought a crew in. I mean, they were fast. He was affordable. And then he recommended there were 2 other projects that I had. And instead of trying to steal the job and he's like, I'd love to help you with that, but I've got a guy that I work with that I hired for my own thing. He just opened up the way he runs his business. And I could see myself as an entrepreneur in how he did that. And he's one of 3 business cards on my fridge. And even when I don't need a roof, I want to get the front face of my house redone with some stones or something like this. And the guy that does that for me, he was the shitty car salesman. He just wanted to win that big bid for me. And I'm tempted to call my roofer and just be like, you'll probably figure it out. I'd rather work with you and just bring a crew in and do it because I trust you.
Or get a good referral from him. He might also give you a good referral, because he knows quality people. Because guys who are focused on that, this is what I do. I do asphalt roofing. I'm the best there is. That's what I do. I don't do metal. Okay. I do asphalt roofing. I don't do clay tile. I just do asphalt roofing. Okay. That's a guy you want to, because you know who he knows? Other specialists. Guys who only do stonemasonry. Okay, that's the guy. This guy does that. He's the best there is. If you want a great experience, blah, blah, he's going to give you that. That's the guy you want to get a recommendation from. So when you become that person who's laser focused on the ideal clients, had this whole thing, you're someone whose now recommendation is of high value because you understand if you're referring someone, if Jay is referring John, the stonemason, to Richard, Jay's name's at risk. Okay? Because if the stonemason's a turd, okay, I might be upset, but every time I see you, I'll be hating on you. Why'd you give me that clown? Right? We're getting together to have dinner with our wives and stuff, and I'm thinking, why'd you give me that guy? he was awful, right? So we understand referral, whose name's at risk. So it's a big deal. And when you're in business, you have to think about that when everyone wants a review, because a review is basically a word of mouth, right? Getting a 5-star. But a raving fan who's going to say, no, you're doing asphalt roof, you got to call Richard. He is the man. You're making a mistake if you don't trust me. I've been through it. Okay, that is worth its weight in gold. And so be able to understand that's all part of our process. That's what you're building. And this is where you got to take that thought, kind of go to that 10,000-foot view and think about how you affect others, right? A referral does a lot for your business. You telling someone else, giving someone else's name, like your roofer did, okay, that builds his business. See how you trusted him? You want him to come into your stone, even though he's a roofer, okay? Because of his willingness to say, I do this, and there you go, right? So that's a big takeaway for everyone. Really think that way, because business is more than the next sale.
Yes.
When
Yep.
you're building
And
something that's sustainable, yeah.
and that's another lesson that I'm 15 years in and I'm still learning, which is to surround myself with partners. I think I'll kind of, I will say that I think guys, we don't want to ask for directions when we're 300 yards into the woods and completely lost. And I've kind of built my first business with that mindset. I could figure it out. I could muscle my way through it. I don't need partners. I don't need this. I don't need that. And now I'm doing it the complete opposite way. So I'm surrounding myself with marketers and people who build courses and people who build sales pipelines. And I'm staying entirely in my lane. I help service-based businesses create productized offers that attract clients and bring in predictable revenue. Because I'm so focused on that niche and so specialized, it's very easy for people to remember exactly what I do. The productized services guy. I want people to be like, you're building a digital offer, talk to Jay. And then I want to work with the email marketer, the sales copywriter, the ghostwriter. Like, I want people that are specifically building those things. The people that build those sort of kitchen sink agencies, or the roofer that's doing the stonework, that's also doing, like putting in mailboxes. It's hard to remember what do you actually do
Right.
again? I can't remember. It's
Right.
hard to refer those people.
Exactly. I think it's so important to get this, because that it's really understanding that when you're going to compress time, that focus on one thing, and then that you built that, you're compressing time in any project. If you come for you and hey, I need a marketer, you get that person, they come on board, they're going to do it the fastest and they're going to do it the best. You may be able to get it done. It'll take twice as long. You work twice as hard for the same amount, right? So great focus enables you to get great partners, because you're not stepping on each other's toes and you understand each other's boundaries, their lanes. And I think that's where you can excel. And that's where you can leverage your time, right? Because you don't have these silly distractions that are, yeah. So when you build specificity into your business like that, that's when you start to gain traction. That's when you're working with people who appreciate you. Okay, that's another key point. That's when we call ideal client, they like us. That's it's like I have a contractor I work with, and he'd tell the people this, they're going to do all this. He's got the great experience. He goes, and when we get done, we'll still like each other. It's like his clothesline. It's great. It's awesome. He's from South Carolina. He's got the accent. It's just here that he goes, and when we get done, we'll still like each other. Like he knows, right? He knows how those things end up. Yeah, you get the great kitchen, but they never want to see you again. Okay, they don't want to talk with you. They're just going to make eggs in the morning on their new stove or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's a great one, man. That's really good. I love it. Good stuff, Jay. This has really been good stuff. Any final words here in your realm? Anything any advice you want to share? Anything like that? Final thoughts?
I really like how we've been talking about specializing. I need that reminder over and over again to stay focused. When I started this business, I was like, I want to help service-based business owners, consultants, and coaches. And then I spent some time on social media, and I had an audience of people that were in, had full-time jobs, building side hustles, and I got distracted. And I started trying to solve for them and this one and that one, but they use different words. They might have the same problems, but they talk about them differently. the stories I bring to those conversations, whether it's in the work or selling the work, are different. And so focusing on that niche and that problem that I solve with a very specific offer has been, it's also like, it feels very calm to wake up and know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
doing. There's
Right.
very few variables that I have to constantly sort of iterate. I have it right. I have to change this, fix that. I just know my mission and I'm just focused on it. I'm not going to figure it all out and make seven figures overnight, but all signs point to I'm doing the right thing. And I'm just continue to iterate my way there.
It's the road to mastery. It's the perfecting the backhand again and again and again. There's only so many things you do. Roofing, there's like 7 parts to the roof. I know how they all work. I master it. I know exactly what I do. I know exactly what I'm looking for every single time I get on a roof. I get it, right? That mastery, that's what it's about. Because you get so good in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of focus on just that lane, just like you're saying. That's why you become the guy, the go-to. Because they know exactly what they're getting and you know exactly what they're delivering. That makes a great relationship. Good stuff, man. Awesome. Well, hey, Jay, how can people get in touch with you? How can they follow you? They want to talk to you about getting courses done or whatever you do. How do they do that?
Profitladder.net. Speaking of which, I share a weekly deep dive on ideas and strategies and tips so you can educate yourself and get going on your own.
Good stuff. Because always good to do a little research. He's giving you great stuff. And as you know, we just talked about how good it's going to be. It's not going to be some halfway product. So whatever Jay's giving you, it's going to be awesome by itself. So you know that for sure because we just spent 45 minutes talking about it. It's been awesome. Jay, thank you for the time today. I really appreciate you coming on. This has been fantastic. And for everyone listening, we will see you on the next one. And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes, and not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend, guaranteed, just go to sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. Do it now.